I recently did a video of some signs and symptoms of eating disorders in men. I definitely recommend going to watch that video. We'll put the link in the description because today I actually want to address a really good question that I got from that video. And what that question was is, well, isn't what you're describing just body dysmorphia? And so I guess the overall question, or the best way to summarize it, is body dysmorphia the same as an eating disorder, and or do they always go hand in hand? And actually, the answer to that is no. So body dysmorphic disorder, or often referred to as body dysmorphia, is classified in the DSM-5, which, remember, that's that diagnostic and statistics manual for how you diagnose eating disorders and other mental illnesses. But body dysmorphic disorder is classified in there as actually a preoccupation with a perceived flaw in someone's body. However, it's usually a very particular thing. So for example, someone may have a very, very small blemish on their nose or their chin, or something that is frankly not noticeable to anybody else. That's why in the DSM-5, they specify that it's a perceived flaw because no one else notices it. But the person with body dysmorphic disorder will actually obsess over this particular thing. And what that translates to and how that turns into actual disorder is that they end up spending tons of time in front of the mirror, constantly messing with it or looking at it or skin picking, or frankly, even maybe self-harming as a result of this particular blemish that's bothering them so much. And then again, how it can translate even more into disorder is oftentimes with these individuals, they start to remove themselves from social events, or they can't be around people if they're obsessing over this thing because all they can think about is that someone is looking at this tiny blemish that again is perceived and other people don't even notice. Now, yes, there is a classification of actual muscle dysmorphia. And so I'm just going to read that because I think it's easier. A preoccupation with the idea that your muscles are too small, and this is considered a subtype of body dysmorphic disorder. And so that does relate to the video that I was talking about, but when these things are different and how that someone could have that but not have an eating disorder is, again, when they're obsessing over these things, but it's not translating to a change in food or exercise or those behaviors. So that's what body dysmorphic disorder is again, those perceived flaws that they become obsessed with, and then it starts to impact social life, and they really can't function in society without obsessing over this particular perceived flaw. Now, with an eating disorder, these two things can overlap. So how this would look if it were to overlap would be if someone with body dysmorphic disorder was maybe obsessed with a particular area, and then as a result, they didn't eat that day, or as a result, they purged, or they over-exercised, or something like that. So yes, when that tends to happen, that's when it turns into more of an eating disorder diagnosis. But there is also an important distinction with eating disorders. So many of you are probably thinking like, okay, well, don't people with eating disorders obsess over their weight or their size or something? And yes, but there's the difference. So with eating disorders, it's often explained that individuals with eating disorders have an obsession with their overall shape or size. And so as a response to that, what they do is either purge or not eat or overexercise or take diet pills or something in an effort to try and change their entire body, their whole shape, their whole size, right? Where again, with body dysmorphic disorder, it's one small thing, a blemish, a very tiny part of the body, or something that's not noticeable to someone else. Eating disorders, it's this general dislike for their overall body. And again, how it distinguishes from body dysmorphic disorder is that they then change food and exercise as a result. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. Again, this probably isn't going to make a lot of sense unless you watch that other video. So definitely go watch that one first, and this helps clarify. But body dysmorphic disorder and eating disorders are not the same. Now, one more thing I want to say is that you can be diagnosed with both. So someone could have both body dysmorphic disorder and an eating disorder, but they don't always overlap. And I think, again, that's an important distinction to make because what I talked about in that past video was a lot of things and how it pertained to eating and exercise. So yes, the signs and symptoms that I mentioned in that other video are definitely an eating disorder as opposed to specifically just body dysmorphic disorder. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're so glad that you're here. Drop us any questions that you have on this in the comments. I'm happy to go over to some more detail about this.